It is such a very unfortunate time in this current present day. Everything is becoming more restricted. Everything is becoming more dangerous. And our trust in our government is far more worse. So, let me just go through and explain what is going on. So, the UK government, they are making a new law, which is a very stupid law because it doesn't actually work. But this law, it's basically having age verification, which is just more of ID verification, really. So what is the whole age verification and ID verification? Basically, what you have to do is submit your ID, more preferably the digital ID, because digital ID is what is going to be more required in pretty much everyday sort of things you have to do, such as getting a job or to even drive a car. So, with digital ID, what do you kind of expect? Your personal information, your biometrics, your face, all of that now on the internet because of digital ID. And to make things even worse with digital ID, basically you're more likely going to lose or get your data stolen from these companies, these verification services, all that sort of stuff. Because apparently that when I want to try and communicate and talk to people and add friends, I would need to do the whole age verification, but that does mean having to have digital ID. Well, some form of ID, but that also includes having biometrics and face scans. That's really what it was, just to be able to have some form of social features and communication. But it's now becoming even more restricted thanks to the Nazi himself, Keir Starmer. That's right. He is literally just pretty much banning the internet and social media as a platform. And it's not just that, it's even gaming. Like, our hobbies, everything is being taken away. And to make things even worse, it is our trust, our freedom, and our privacy. All of that is being taken away because of this new so-called law, which, by the way, is also a violation to another law, because there's a law that is actually good called GDPR, which I recommend you actually do some research on GDPR, because they pretty much explain why your privacy is important and why you shouldn't submit your data over to people who probably just going to sell your data or end up keeping it only for your data to be leaked. So it's something you should definitely check out, like seeing what GDPR is and all that. But yeah, this so-called age verification and digital ID is just a load of bullshit, and it's making its way for pretty much about everything. Even our devices, which apparently later, sometime this year, or maybe next year, operating systems going to have age verification, which is not great, because just imagine this. You sharing a computer, and you need to have your verification. You need to apply verification to use that computer. Now, what happens if someone used that computer, but it still has your information and everything that you verify to make it yours? Well, that's what I'm curious about, because I think that's even putting people more at risk. Not only that, but people who do submit their ID with digital ID and age verification, they've already been leaking, because you got something like Yoti, which, like I said, is required to use social features. Like, if I want to be able to communicate and play with friends and other strangers on PlayStation, Xbox, you would need to verify through Yoti. And with Yoti, they already had data breaches. So I'd rather not submit my ID, my information, everything about myself to someone or a company who's not going to delete my data about who I am. And another thing I forgot to mention, with verifying, it's also applying to your network. Basically, no matter what you go on, you're going to be tracked. So you could be going on to, let's say, just trying to send a message to a friend. Yeah, that can easily get tracked for literally just something that is apparently bad for the government, when it's actually not bad for us, because it's our normal everyday conversation. Imagine just talking about politics, and then you get arrested for talking about politics. That is likely what can happen. And then you have a bunch of criminals who will pretty much abuse and exploit that age verification system, and they would even use the dark web. People may better off be using the dark web, but I'm not using dark web because it is pretty dangerous. But the dark web, people can still have some way of accessing it, and it probably is a little bit safer, but you are more likely going to be in some real deep shit, because that's when all the stuff that has been leaking will be there. But apparently the government don't give a shit about that. Oh, and let's talk about what sort of social media platforms that is being banned. YouTube. That's right. So basically with YouTube, we probably won't be able to access or use YouTube unless we were to verify our age, aka verify our ID. But why? Just why? YouTube can also be used for education. And there's some stuff from YouTube that I would find very educational, that can help me improve on creative writing and creative structure and I'm sorry, I'm losing track. Anyway, the whole thing with YouTube being age restricted, or another way of just saying banned, it's not just that, but you also got other social media platforms, even like Twitter, Instagram, and to be honest, I think those probably okay to be age restricted. To be honest, I don't really think they are safe to go on or use, because those are where the messy stuff tends to go to, even like Snapchat as well. But here's another problem. You got something like Roblox that is notorious for a bunch of real like dangers for kids, and yet that does not get age restricted because apparently they don't see that as a risk. So yeah, pretty much just trying to say protecting kids as an excuse is a load of bullshit, because it's not about protecting kids, it's about control and surveillance and maybe putting some sort of spyware onto all our devices and our networks, because that is pretty much what is going on with the UK. And it doesn't help that there's people that is getting instantly sorry about that, I am messing up with my words. There are people who are falsely being accused when they're innocent. And that happened quite a lot. I mean, think about what happened with the incident with the police end up pepper spraying a father and his 5-year-old son. That shit happened in the UK. But it's like the police, like there are some good police out there. I do think there are some responsible and good ones out there, but there's been a lot of bad ones, and they haven't really been doing their jobs, especially when it comes to arresting actual criminals. Instead, they're arresting more of the innocent ones, and then now they are going to use police AI as a tool to help them, and it's not going to work. Now, how does that part of the whole digital ID and age verification? Well, like I said, they can track what you go on and consider whether it is whether you're a risk or not, because you're going onto websites and using messages and all that. And also, with the whole age verification, and I've even mentioned this so many times already. Anyway, basically, you have no privacy, no freedom. Your government, your police, you can't trust them. That is the answer, because that is how the government is going, and everyone is hating it. And by the way, we even prove to Keir Starmer, the so-called Nazi, that parental controls is effective and better than banning the internet outright. And yet, he still considers it as, like, not as... He pretty much ignores it, basically. And when we have people trying to vote, people have to do the whole ID verification and all that, even for people who are now, if they are 16 years old, they can now apply to vote. But that does mean the whole digital ID thing that they have to do anyway to vote. So, yeah, it's really stupid. And it's really going... It's just not working. We can't be restricted to something that is not working. And this whole effect started becoming more like it's kind of started last year, but it wasn't as extreme or wasn't as bad. But then it's slowly, gradually getting worse, and when it got to 2026, things started to get worse, and now where we are at is even worse. And what's going to happen next is going to make the internet and social media platforms and your usual gaming as well. It's, we probably won't have much access to them anyway, because it's just stupid. So I've heard that there are some VPNs that can pretty much avoid the whole ID verification and digital ID and age verification, yada yada yada. There are VPNs that can avoid that, and you can pretty much hide and keep your privacy. You're best to just go for VPNs that you can actually trust and not the ones that are free, because there are some free ones out there that are actually dangerous. But if you actually go for the ones that cost money, and it's best to go for the ones that cost money, you're more likely going to be protected, and you have more urgency to, like, whether you are encountering some sort of issues with potential hacks and all that sort of stuff. But with VPN, like I said, you get to keep your privacy. But I'm not going to list what VPNs, because I'm not so knowledgeable with what VPNs you can truly trust. But yeah, I would say probably best to get a VPN. Preferably the ones that people tend to recommend that is actually good, and also keep your privacy. And I should really expand more as well. I probably would be into a little bit of a struggle now, because if I can't, if I don't submit my ID and verify my age for social media platforms and everything else, that does mean I probably might not be able to use YouTube soon. And that is pretty sad, because, like, I like YouTube, and I make videos for everyone here to watch. Even if it's just a bunch of videos that you're probably not going to watch anyway, but to be honest, I'm a person that has a hobby for lots of things, and like to make content that I do like, as well as some that people might enjoy and maybe get into. It's just, I'm probably not going to be able to use YouTube eventually, and I don't know when it's going to be properly banned, because, like, this can happen at any time now, because this law is now in effect, and it is making things worse as days go by. And there are people that are against it, and even though when we are against it, we're still being shot down. And when I say shot down, I don't mean like we're being, like, literally being shot down by a firing squad. No, I'm actually being saying, like, we speak up, and yet when we do speak up, we get shut down. Like, basically our words are not being heard. It's depressing. It's bad. The whole digital ID, age verification, it's worse, really bad, and it's not looking great. So at any moment, I'm probably not going to be doing YouTube if this actually properly taking effect. And so if I end up not making any videos or posts in, let's say, a month, that's because of the age verification and social media and internet being banned. So I just want you guys to know ahead of time, because I don't want you guys to be like asking why I'm not uploading videos and all that sort of stuff. Making memes, making piano videos, Girls Frontline videos, Halo Machinimas. Like, I want to continue doing that because it's something that I enjoy. It's actually something that you guys enjoy. And without YouTube, I'm probably just living with just less contact with people. Because there are some people who are over-reliant on the internet, and I am kind of someone who relies a lot on the internet, but I struggle with social life, and trying to get a job as well in this day and age is also pretty difficult. The living crisis, the cost of everything is rising, and it's just making life more depressing, more dystopian, better off just saying dystopian. But yeah, it's just, without the internet, I'm probably in a world where I just don't have actual form of communication, freedom, some form of personality and expression. Instead, I will be more depressed now. I will feel like I don't have any sort of like engagement, because like I said, it's just social life is difficult. So like we make friends on the internet. Sometimes that we have to take the risk to make friends on the internet. But as long that we are careful, as long that we are responsible of making our own choices, our own actions, we should be accountable for ourselves, not the government being the one in charge of doing everything in their power to make us not taking some sort of risk that felt like it actually has some sort of benefit at the end. But with something like digital ID and just being able to regain access to stuff that we once already had, we're now at risk. We're now at the point where we could, in fact, lose everything we own, everything we have, and could even be falsely accused and be sent to prison for something we didn't even do. All because our information was stolen. But yeah, this is just something I have to rant and yap on about. And this is definitely a long video. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, because it's getting worse. The world is gradually getting worse. Just when I thought 2026 was actually starting to become maybe a little bit hopeful, maybe a little bit better. New games that are really good, like new movies that are actually really good. Like actual stuff that is happening that are good. And now it's just, we're now having our happiness being dragged from at, let's say, 60 out of 100 to 5 out of 100. It's just disappointing how things are now escalating and how it's going. Now, unless there's someone who is trying to kick Keir Starmer out, or maybe, I'm not trying to suggest this, but have some sort of anonymous creed to remove him. It's probably sound like the most safest thing I can actually say. Anyway, if he was gone and we went back to how the laws used to work, and maybe try and reevaluate and adjust those laws. Because if you're saying you want to protect the kids from the internet, from harmful content, then just listen to what is actually evidently better. Parental controls. It's safer. The ones who should be more responsible are the parents. They're the ones who need to be keeping an eye on their children from what they do on the internet. Yeah, so that's just something that the government needs to understand. Yeah, that's just something I want to just say. I think I probably went on way too long now. Like I said, if I'm not making a video or post in a month after I made the last post or video, that means that I no longer can access YouTube unless I were to do the whole age verification and digital ID. Or I end up releasing a video saying, oh, good news, age verification and digital ID is now gone. So, either way, if I'm still making videos, then that means then nothing bad is happening at the moment. But once I'm not making any sort of updates, like new videos, new posts, like I said, then yeah, that's how it is. That's how it's gonna be. So yeah, just want to let you guys know. Thank you guys for watching. It's been nice hearing some positive comments and words from everyone who's been supporting my channel, and from the content, the videos and posts I've been making. Like, I'm still trying to make more memes videos and keeping up with the new content that I am going to still try and upload. Thank you guys for pretty much making my 11 years on YouTube, even though I don't think many of you guys were subscribed for 11 years, but I just want to say I've been doing YouTube for 11 years now, and yeah, I really appreciated just how much I went from reaching 1,800 subscribers in 11 years, and it's not all that impressive. It's not all that impressive, but it felt meaningful because you guys watch my videos. You guys support me. Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna end this video and try to stay positive and get by life and struggles. And yeah, thanks everyone.